Hi everyone, welcome back. It is time to choose my spring reads with my TBR jar. I am going to be choosing 6 books today using the prompts that are in my jar. And those are going to be books that I read throughout the months of March, April, and May this year. So real quick before I hop into picking my 6 books for with my TBR jar, let me just tell you the 5 books that I know are already on my spring reading list that are primarily coming from my most anticipated reads video. So I'll link that below if you're curious to hear a little bit more about why I'm so excited for these ones. But let me just list them out for you, give a little explanation here. So the first one is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. This is probably my most anticipated read of the whole year, and my library hold is finally available, so I will be devouring that one right away here in the beginning of March. The Poet Empress by Shen Tao. I'm also waiting on my library hold for this one, but I'm the next person in line, so I'll definitely be getting it this spring, and I'll read it sometime this spring. Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. I am so excited to get into this one, and I have the audiobook already queued up. So as soon as I get through the remainder of my February reads, because I'm filming this about a week ahead of when you're seeing it, I'm still listening to one of my February reads as an audiobook. As soon as I'm done with that, I'm gonna hop into Iron Gold as my next audiobook. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. This one's kind of a cheat in a sense because I do have a physical copy of it, but it's not on my shelf here because it's I'm borrowing it from a friend. So I don't keep it with the books that I own because I don't want to get mixed up or have it get lost in the shuffle, anything like that. So I have it off to the side, and I will be reading that one physically as well this spring because I want to get my copy of it back to my friend and be able to discuss it with her. And then the 5th book that I already know is on my reading list for spring that's not from the TBR jar and it's not mood reading specific is The Sea of Monsters by Rick Riordan. So I'm committing to reading the full Percy Jackson and the Olympian series for the first time ever in my life this year. And in February, I finished the first book, The Lightning Thief, and now I'm moving on to the second book sometime this spring, whenever it becomes available for me at the library. And I'm super excited to keep making progress on that one too. So aside from those books and these TBR books that we're picking right now together, the rest of my spring reading list will just progress mood reading wise, whatever I'm feeling like picking up at the time. But I will note that those 5 books that I've already got on the list are some pretty chunky, hefty, fantasy, sci-fi heavy books, or like really emotionally and intellectually challenging and devastating. So with the TBR jar today, I am going to try to steer myself in the direction of some slightly easier or shorter reads. But spring to me just feels like a lighter reading season. Like I need the uplifting vibes. I need the good feelings part of the time at least. So we're gonna see what I can do today, and let's just go ahead and see what prompts we get and go from there. Okay, I'm gonna mix them up a little bit because they have settled down in the bottom of my jar here, and then let's see what I get for the first prompt. Okay, this one is purchased over a year ago. That is going to be like the vast majority of the books that I've got on the shelf. So I'm going to try to narrow it down. I'm going to be pretty selective here. I could pull probably like 90% of this shelf because I haven't purchased that much in the last 12 months. But let me just pick the ones that I think will be kind of easy wins in that case. Okay, I'm gonna go just with these 3. They're 3 relatively short options to choose from. So I've got Anne Tyler's A Patchwork Planet. This was recommended to me by one of the lovely employees at the Friends of the Library. Like they've got a little bookshop in the front of the library branch that I go to. So not just like the annual or seasonal library sales they do, but they have like an ongoing collection that you can purchase from. And one of the employees recommended Anne Tyler to me as an author based on some books that she and I were discussing, and I had never read anything by Anne Tyler. This book, I believe, also takes place in Baltimore. Yeah. And my husband's from there, so that's kind of just a fun connection. And it sounds like this is following one character, Barnaby Gatlin, who is kind of has a track record of breaking and entering, stealing, bad behavior, but has been kind of on the up and up for a while now. But then, wow, it sounds like a mystery. Wow, I can't even. My goodness, the description here is like all over the place. I honestly have no idea what to expect from here. It also says, I did not notice this till right now, but in tiny font down here, it says a Book of the Month Club main selection. Do you think this is like an old school Book of the Month book? Oh my gosh, I wonder how I could find out. I don't know. There's no other markings anywhere on it. But that's cool. Okay, so sounds like sort of a family mystery based on this this main character's past of having wrongdoings and kind of dealing with the repercussions of that in modern day. Not sure what to expect from that one. Next I have from a library book sale from my friends at the library. I have Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford. And this one sounds creepy to me. I've already read the description a few times recently because I've considered picking it up. With it being one of the shortest books I have on my shelf, it does keep calling to me. It sounds like it's a story of Ada and her father who both have the power to heal illnesses. And then Ada meets someone named Samson. They start to have an affair. And she's kind of torn between choosing between two different lives. So, could be an interesting one. It sounds creepy. The cover totally creeps me out. Not sure I want to get into that one right now, but maybe because it's short. Next up, option 3 for this is Delphi by Claire Pollard, also from my library, like Friends of the Library book sale. So this one has big, bold words across the top of the synopsis that say, a Greek tragedy set in lockdown. So I'm assuming that this is like during pandemic times and a retelling of a Greek myth. I'm assuming Delphi. So I'm not going to read more of the synopsis because I kind of want to keep this one a mystery and see where it goes from there. So of my 3 options here, I am feeling the most compelled to pick up Delphi, actually. That kind of like hooked me, just that big, bold lettering. I think I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. I am not sure what to expect with this book, and sometimes I love going into things totally blind. So that's our first one for a book that I purchased over a year ago. Okay, prompt number 2. Let's mix them up. Okay. A paperback book. Thank goodness, this is really giving me some freedom here. I've gotten 2 prompts that are really giving me a lot of latitude, which is helpful when I'm trying to pick some lighter reads or shorter reads to complement all those big, dense books I've got going on. So let me grab some paperback books. Okay, so same as that first prompt, obviously there are more paperback books up here. I'm not choosing all of them. I'm narrowing it down to 3 to choose from here. We'll take a look at them together and then I'll pick one. And honestly, I strategically chose my 3 shortest. So the first one I have here is The Martian by Andy Weir. The main character is stranded, I believe, on Mars alone, and he's trying to figure out how to get back to Earth. That's all I know about this book, and I've heard this one is the most enjoyable to read if you don't know. I've heard that about all of Andy Weir's books. Kind of go in blind and you'll have a better experience. I am so excited to read Andy Weir, and I am so glad I own this book. Definitely a top contender. Next up, I have In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I am so intrigued by this book because it is classified frequently as nonfiction. It's supposed to be kind of interviews with, gosh, who is the person? I can't remember who it is that he is supposed to be interviewing, and it's not on this book for some reason. Some famous serial killer. Truman Capote was supposed to have interviewed that person and then basically just written down an account of what they said, what that serial killer said. And it's supposed to be observations and like facts, but there's definitely a lot of speculation out there about whether it's how much of it is true and actually observation versus how much of it is Truman Capote's interpretation, his own twisting of the truth on purpose. So this one intrigues me because I want to know the details, and I want to kind of read through it myself and see what I think. And then number 3 is Circe by Madeline Miller. Now this one is a retelling of a Greek myth. Madeline Miller quickly has shot to the top of my list of favorite authors, and I'm so excited to read this book. I will say, I think talking through these now, I'm going to take out In Cold Blood. I'm not in the right headspace for a book like that right now, and I have 2 that I am like so excited to read. And looking at the 2 of them and comparing them to the list I've already got going for this spring, I think I'm gonna go ahead and choose Circe because I have a ton of sci-fi already on my spring reading list, and I think that it will be good to have a little variety. So Circe is my pick for a paperback book. All right, prompt number 3. This is gonna be a long video. I'm really talking through all these options in detail. Pick number 3 is, most excited. Yay! Okay, well that's fun. I get to choose that. Honestly, Circe probably would have been the book that I pick up for that prompt if I hadn't already chosen it. So that's exciting. But let me look through here and pick maybe like the 2 top that I've been considering picking up on my own time. Okay, we've got some irony going on here because if you see these 3 books that are wrapped up in Christmas wrapping paper here, those are the like 3 of the books that I'm most excited to read this year. But I wrapped them up for a blind book date that I did. I'll link it down below if you're curious, so that I could open them. And I wanted in that blind book date to be excited about all 4 of the books I wrapped up. Obviously now there are 3 because I unwrapped one and I read it, but I've sort of shot myself in the foot here, so to speak, with this prompt because those were the books that I was most excited to read this year. And then I've also already chosen Circe, which would have been a logical next choice. But I found a book that I'm super pumped to read, and that's been on my list for a long time, and that is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. So I have heard this is super different than V.E. Schwab's other books. I've actually never read anything by her, but I am so excited to read this book just as its own standalone premise, regardless of whether it's a good introduction to her worlds and her backlist or not. I don't really care. I just want to read this book specifically. And here's why. I read the synopsis and I just became like enthralled by the concept of this. So I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. I'm just going to read the sort of like bigger header categories that then have a little bit of description about the plot below each one. But the pace, like the structure of how the author chose or the publisher chose to lay out this synopsis really caught my attention. It says, this is a story about hunger. This is a story about love. This is a story about rage. This is a story about life, how it ends and how it starts. And I love that reversal of how it ends and how it starts. And I just immediately was like drawn in by this. And the fact that I haven't read anything by V.E. Schwab, and it's she's sort of on my list as one of those top authors I want to break into reading. I'm excited about this one. It's a big hefty one. So oops, I did good for my first 2 picks of reining myself in, but I am so excited for that one, and I think it will be worth every page, and so I'm pumped about that one. So we're gonna go ahead and move on now to prompt number 4. Mix them up. Okay, brightly colored cover design. I got this one last time too. Fun. I love this one because I have a lot of colorful books. But again, a lot of them are these ones that are wrapped up. So let's see what I can find here. Okay, I picked out 3. 2 of them are nonfiction books, actually. I'm kind of in the mood for a little bit of a nonfiction, and these days a lot of my nonfiction kind of surrounds around parenting or young kids, so they're often colorful covers. So the first one here is How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, and written by Joanna Faber and Julie King. And this one is exactly what it sounds like. It's supposed to be for 2 to 7-year-olds, and I've got one kid who's 2 and one kid who's 1 who's about to be 2, a year from now. So perfect timing for me to kind of tackle something like this. It does honestly look like pretty dense for a nonfiction book, but I'm hoping it's really like directly applicable, usable immediately, kind of a read. The other nonfiction option I have is Good Inside by Dr. Becky Kennedy. Definitely colorful. The whole cover is yellow. And this one is, you may have heard of Becky Kennedy if you're on like Instagram or if you're in parenting circles. She's very popular these days. And her entire sort of premise is that kids are not bad. They've just learned bad behaviors that you can help them unlearn through some supportive techniques. So I'm intrigued. I don't know if I'm fully bought in 100%, but I'm excited to see what I can take out of a book like this. And then I picked one fiction book too in here because it is incredibly colorful. This is A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. In a remote island on the Pacific Northwest, a Hello Kitty lunchbox washes up on the beach. Tucked inside is the diary of a 16-year-old Japanese girl named Naoya Yasutani. Ruth, a writer who finds the lunchbox, suspects that it's debris from Japan's 2011 tsunami. She reads the diary and she gets like wrapped up in this child's fate. So I love stories like that sort of like cross time spans, cross generations, cross like physical spaces. I love stories like that. And I have heard from some friends and family members that this is a really phenomenal read. So it's definitely up there on my list, and definitely colorful, beautiful, beautiful cover. That being said, like I said, I think I'm kind of in the mood for some nonfiction, and I think this one is honestly calling to me. I just am really hoping for some practical tips in here. It is crazy trying to talk to young kids, right? And would love some strategies to help me out with that. Okay, prompt number 5. I'm starting to get overwhelmed already in this video, but I've got to remind myself that these are for the next 3 months, not just the next 1 month. I'm like staring at the stack of 4 books and I'm like, uh-oh, maybe I should back out of these last 2. But no, I'm good. I've got plenty of time. Oops, I peeked. I'm trying again. Okay, ooh. Okay, special edition or elaborate design. Oh my gosh, I'm getting good prompts this time. I'm so excited. Okay, let me grab all the ones that are like super elaborate or really special edition. I just need to put these down here because they're gonna topple off. Okay, I think I've got 3 to pick from here. I don't know if one of these is technically like special edition, but I'm throwing it in there. So first up, we've got Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. And I chose this one because like all this threading sort of pattern on here is like gold foil. So I don't technically think this is like a special edition, but it's beautiful and it's a very elaborate design. So Our Infinite Fates, you're following 2 characters who on, I believe their 18th birthday every year, or the main female character's 18th birthday every year, she and the male love interest like hunt each other down and kill each other, I believe. And so they need to figure out why they keep doing that. And it's like the male main character is some sort of supernatural being. There's a lot of mystery around that. And it says they've loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. So they always like hunt each other down, find each other, kill each other. So that one's really intriguing to me. I have seen online that it has pretty mixed reviews. So we'll see. But that premise sounds really interesting to me. Next up, another Book of the Month book. This one, Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. Ooh, I'm excited for this one. First of all, wow, beautiful book. It has the sprayed edges with the flowers as well. Definitely gorgeous. Oh, and I love these like black end papers. This is really pretty. I do really like this. I'm not usually a sprayed edge kind of gal, but I like this one. So this one I think is enemies to lovers romantasy, set in like a dark academia setting as well. So Blackwood Academy is a legendary school located on the fringes of the afterlife. The only way to graduate is to go through this like decade or once in a decade celebration and like pass some tests, overcome some trials. Two of the rivals are competing against each other, and I believe fall in love, etc. And it's just following the students who are trying to compete and go through this and get out the other side, graduate successfully. And then number 3, I had to pick this one up because it technically meets the prompt. This is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I am not in the right headspace for this book, you guys, but what a beautiful copy. I mean, it's got this, it's like embossed on the front. It's really beautiful. I do love this copy of this book. I am just not in the right headspace for Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I know from reading a bunch of his other writing that things can be pretty bleak, pretty deep, pretty intense, and I've got enough of that on my TBR, so I'm gonna slot this one back. Okay, and then with these two, I'm honestly, it's just gonna come down to page count. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Our Infinite Fates because I want a slightly shorter book. Both of these are kind of same level of difficulty or challenge in terms of like having to get into a fantasy world, all the world building, all of that. But I'm just gonna go ahead and choose the one that I think is gonna be a little quicker of a read for me, and I'm excited about that one. Okay, last pick here, and then you get to do some rearranging with me because I'm finally making some progress here, and some of these top books are gonna start to slot down onto the actual shelf. Imagine that. So last prompt here, number 6 today. People or animals on the cover. Okay, let's see what we've got for that one. People or animals? Okay, so we actually have mostly repeats here because we've got The Martian by Andy Weir, which we already talked about with the guy on the front there. We've got Follow Me to Ground with this woman's face. We've got A Tale for the Time Being. I'm counting this little drawing of a person up top. And then the other one that's getting added here is For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, which has this person on the cover here. And let me just tell you a tiny bit about this one since I've already explained the other 3. This one is a Red Riding Hood retelling, and you follow Red, and she's the second daughter of this kingdom, and the second daughter has one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to be sacrificed to the wolf to kind of keep things at bay. She secretly, though, has power that she hasn't told anybody about, so I imagine that will come into play here in some way, shape, or form. And oh shoot, I also see over here I have Shuggy Bane. I'm not picking this one up this month, you guys. Way too emotionally intense. But that also has people on the front, I should have noticed. So I've got 4 options here. 3 of them I've already said no to from other selections. But now that I'm having the chance to look at them again, I think I'm going to go with Follow Me to Ground. I was actually super intrigued by this one. This is the one where it's Ada and her dad who have healing powers, and then she meets a man and has to kind of pick between 2 different life paths. I was more interested in this one and more excited about it than I expected when I first picked it up today. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one to the list as well. Okay, and then I think we're going to need to do a little rearranging here before I do a quick recap of the 6 books that I picked. Okay, so we're not quite all fully on the shelf yet, but we're making huge amounts of progress. I can at least now face all these top ones outwards so that I can see the spines and actually see what I'm choosing from. So real quick, let me recap the 6 books I chose and which prompt they went with. Okay, for Purchased Over a Year Ago, I have Delphi by Claire Pollard. For paperback, I have Circe by Madeline Miller. For most excited, I have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. For bright colored cover design, I have How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen by Joanna Faber and Julie King. For special edition / elaborate cover design, we have Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. And finally, for people or animals on the cover, I have Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford. Definitely an odd mix here, but I'm really excited to tackle all of these, and I think I've got the right combination here of like heavy and dark or inspiring and exciting for springtime. So I'll see you again with reading recaps and ratings down the road. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time.